All right, English to friends. This is our final recording, our final lesson for Macbeth. In this recording, I'm going to talk about Act 5. Most of you should be finished reading the play by now. If you're not, hang in there and then just come back and watch this video whenever you get to Act 5. So, what are your thoughts about the end of the play? Do you feel like this ending was satisfactory? Was it a just ending? If so, why do you think it was? If you think it was unjust or unfair, what would make it better? If you were rewriting the end of this play, how would you make it better? How would you change it? Macbeth, if you've finished reading the play at this point, then you are on pace. Remember, you can use the No Fear Shakespeare text, which is like a modern um, translation that you can find on SparkNotes. You can use the LibriVox audiobooks. You can find those on YouTube if you just want to listen to it, or you can even watch a couple of film versions. I've put them up here in this top corner. You can find these on YouTube as well. These are really good film versions. So for today's PowerPoint, we're going to analyze the relationship between character actions and interactions and the plot. We'll identify character traits and motivations, identify and understand universal themes. We'll identify conflict and resolution, compare and contrast characters on the basis of their actions, traits, and motives. We will describe and analyze characters on the basis of their speech, actions, or interactions with others. Explain the use of asides, soliloquies, and monologues in a drama, and identify the characteristics of a tragic hero. So far, you should have read the entire play. In Act 1, we learn that Macbeth has met these weird sisters, the witches, and they have shared prophecies with him and his friend Banquo. Based on what the sisters have told Macbeth, he believes that he will become the King of Scotland. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth then devise and carry out a plot to kill the current King of Scotland, King Duncan, and Macbeth conveniently kills the only possible witness in a fit of rage. The king's sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, flee to England and Ireland, which immediately casts suspicion on them. While Macduff is a little suspicious of Macbeth, Ross goes to Scone to see the king crowned. In Act 3, we see Macbeth wearing his crown, but not so easily. He is fearful of the predictions given to Banquo, and he's not willing that his efforts go to putting Banquo's descendants on the throne. So he hires murderers to kill Banquo and his son, but Fleance escapes. Later, Macbeth is haunted by Banquo's ghost, showing us that Macbeth's guilty conscience is troubling him. Several of the nobles are beginning to seriously suspect that Macbeth may have played dirty to gain the crown, and they're thinking they may join Malcolm to restore him to the throne. They're beginning to call Macbeth a tyrant. We've discovered that some important elements in this play are duality and doublespeak, which we see in the witch's tricky predictions, and the double natures of Lady Macbeth and Macbeth. In Act 4, the witches brew their toil and trouble potion, and Macbeth comes to seek their advice. They show him 3 apparitions with messages and a vision. 2 of the messages he takes to mean that he is unstoppable. The vision only angers him because it confirms that Banquo's descendants will one day be kings. He learns that Macduff has gone to England, thus betraying him, so he has Macduff's entire family murdered. This only spurs Macduff to desire revenge, so he immediately joins forces with Malcolm in raising an army in England to go up against Macbeth. So that brings us to Act 5, the final act of the play. Let's talk about it. As Act 5 opens, a gentlewoman discusses with the doctor Lady Macbeth's recent odd behavior. For the past 2 nights, the pair has observed nothing out of the ordinary, but then enter Lady Macbeth, walking in her sleep. And she says, "Out, damned spot! Out, I say! 1, 2, why, then 'tis time to do it! Hell is murky! Fie, my lord, fie! A soldier and afeard! What need we fear, who knows it, when none can call our power to accompt? Yet who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him?" The doctor says, "Do you mark that?" Lady Macbeth says, "The Thane of Fife had a wife. Where is she now? What, will these hands ne'er be clean? No more of that, my lord, no more of that. You mar all with this starting." So we see this really peculiar scene, and I've linked it here on the slide where if you want to click on that link and go watch that scene, you can. But think about, what do these lines begin to tell us about Lady Macbeth's state of mind? What does that indicate about her character? Was her wish that she declared in Act 1 truly fulfilled? If you are the director of this play, how would you tell the actor playing Lady Macbeth to approach this scene? Just some things to think about. Act 5, Scene 2 is very brief, and it takes place outside of Dunsinane Castle, where Macbeth and his wife are waiting for the advancing army of Malcolm. There, several Scottish nobles discuss the situation and both sides of the conflict. Their view of Macbeth is not a positive one. Menteith refers to Macbeth as the tyrant. Caithness reports that some are calling Macbeth insane. And Angus says that Macbeth is finally being punished for his secret murders as his subjects rebel against him. Those who remain loyal serve out of duty, not affection. The nobles decide they cannot remain loyal to Macbeth. They exit to seek out Malcolm, whom Caithness likens to a doctor who may cure the sickness of Scotland. They will find Malcolm at Birnam Wood. That's significant because of the prophecies the witches made the last time Macbeth goes to see them. So in Act 5, Scene 3, Macbeth says, "Don't bring me any more reports. I don't care if all the thanes desert me. Until Birnam Wood gets up and moves to Dunsinane, I won't be affected by fear. What's the boy Malcolm? Wasn't he born from a woman? The spirits that know the future have told me this. Don't be afraid, Macbeth. No man born from a woman will ever defeat you. So get out of here, disloyal thanes, and join the weak and decadent English. My mind and courage will never falter with doubt or shake with fear." The servant comes in and he says, "May the devil turn you black, you white-faced fool. Why do you look like a frightened goose?" So what is Macbeth placing his confidence in here? And is he truly confident at this point? In Act 5, Scene 4, Malcolm says, "Let every soldier hew him down a bow and bear it before him. Thereby shall we shadow the numbers of our host and make discovery ere in report of us." And the soldier says, "It shall be done." Malcolm's order has a very practical purpose. By holding tree bows in front of them, the soldiers will conceal their number from Macbeth's forces. They're being sneaky. So how is the witch's prophecy concerning Birnam Wood revealed here? They're carrying the branches from the trees of Birnam Wood as they advance to Macbeth's to Macbeth's castle, to Dunsinane. So quite literally, Birnam Wood, the forest, is coming to the castle, just like the witches said. In Act 5, Scene 5, the readers are taken once again inside Dunsinane Castle, where Macbeth is still madly looking forward to the start of hostilities with Malcolm. His ravings are interrupted by screams from another part of the castle. The servant Satan leaves to find out the source of the screaming and returns with the news that Lady Macbeth is dead. So here again, I've linked this scene for you. If you've got a minute, click on that and watch this scene. And as you're watching, think about what kind of response you have to this particular part of the play. Do you have any sympathy for Macbeth here? And then notice, what does Macbeth do immediately after this soliloquy? So in the scene you can watch here, it shows where they hear the scream, he finds out that Lady Macbeth is dead, and then Macbeth gives a speech, gives a soliloquy. And then what does he do immediately after that? Macbeth says, "She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." So this particular soliloquy is one of Shakespeare's more famous portions. What do you think that he is saying here? What is he saying about life in general? And do you think this is one of the themes of this play? In Act 6 and 7, or I'm sorry, in Scene 6 and 7 of Act 5, the tension mounts with Macbeth and Malcolm because Malcolm's coming closer to Dunsinane Castle, and he orders his men to throw down the tree boughs and reveal themselves to the enemy. He sends Syward and his son forward, promising that he and Macduff will follow quickly behind them. The battle begins. Moments later, young Syward is the first to encounter Macbeth. Comparing the king to a devil and calling him a tyrant, young Syward eagerly engages Macbeth in a fight, but he is quickly slain by the older, more experienced Macbeth. Macbeth drags young Syward's body off stage just before the boy's father arrives with Macduff and Malcolm, and the three enter the castle. In Scene 8, Macbeth still believes he is invincible because of the witch's prophecy, and he rushes to battle with Macduff. Macbeth says, "Thou losest labor, as easy mayst thou in trenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life which must not yield to one of woman born." Macduff's response? "Despair thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped." So here we find out Macduff was born via C-section. So upon hearing this, Macbeth now knows that he is defeated. He knows he's going to die, but he decides to die fighting, and he is killed off the stage. Macduff enters. He says, "Hail, King, for so thou art. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. The time is free. I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl, that speak my salutation in their minds, whose voices I desire aloud with mine. Hail, King of Scotland." He's holding Macbeth's head in his hand. Basically, He's showing it to the kingdom. He's saying,